It all starts with an idea. Next step is taking your idea and watching it materialize and ultimately land on store shelves. On this Money Monday, we'd like to welcome back Dr. Lisa Williams, founder of the Fresh Dolls, who's back with her 5 secrets to getting your product into big box retailers. Doctor, good to see you again.
It's my pleasure to be back.
Please remind everybody about your product, the Fresh Dolls.
The Fresh Dolls are a multicultural doll line created to show the beauty and the brilliance in all children of all ethnicities, be they boys or girls.
And what was your inspiration for creating this line of dolls?
Oh my gosh, I was sitting home watching television when I saw this beautiful black little girl say she did not want to play with black dolls because the black doll skin was nasty. And then to add injury to insult and bring tears to my eyes, she literally touched her hand as to indicate that her skin too was nasty. In that moment, I said, this cannot happen. And I started the world of EPI, creating Positively Perfect, and then later on, the Fresh Dolls.
And it's interesting because we talked about this before, but there had been psychological studies done decades ago, a very, very long time ago, about just this phenomenon, if you will, just young children who do not identify with dolls that look like them or are not drawn to dolls that look like them. And since then, I mean, they've created dolls that identify with different races. But how would you say yours is different and maybe more embraceable?
Mine are different because they are actually consciously and mindfully created. I focus on every child's ethnicity and I look at their beautiful facial features. I look at the lip and the shape of the lips and the jawline and how it's different, or the nose and how it's different from one ethnicity to the other. And of course, we custom blend all of our skin tones. We have a wide variety of hair texture, from straight to curly to afro puffs to braids, everything to represent all children's hair types. And then don't forget the bodies. I wanted to make sure the bodies were representative too, because sometimes the dolls are a little too thin, and it makes girls perhaps think that they are actually not attractive because their bodies are a little more fuller. These dolls are different. They are fuller. They have fuller thighs and hips, and they're all articulated so that the child can dream and imagine what they want to be while they're playing with their dolls.
Well, you certainly have thought of everything here. What year was it that you said, this is the year that I'm going to start a doll line?
It was right after that doll study, actually. It was 2009, 2010. And it takes about a year to 18 months to get a doll from your idea to actually mass retail store shelves.
Okay, so there is a length of time there, but you have to find a manufacturer. Obviously, you have to design it. But what was the one thing in your mind as an entrepreneur that you said, I'm going to run with this, I'm going to keep going, and what challenges were you met with along the way?
Oh my gosh, there were so many challenges. Well, I was a very high-ranking professor at a leading university. And so I had literally the highest ranking position in the field with 2 multi-million-dollar chairs to conduct my research. So everyone said, you're going to do what? You're going to leave all this to go and create dolls? Are you crazy? What's going on with you? But what they didn't know is that I was so affected by that little girl, and I knew that that couldn't happen. And, it reminds me of that old phrase, that those who cannot hear the music think that those that are dancing are insane. I love that. So people just couldn't hear my music, but I knew it was for me to create this line of multicultural dolls.
So 18 months, you say, about designing, creating the doll, and then by the time it was ready for store shelves, how long did that step take?
Oh my, getting to store shelves is another challenge, and it takes about 6 to 8 months with all the processes of getting everything uploaded, getting your UPC codes, all the things that you have to do to make sure that your product does qualify for being on shelf.
Okay, so your process from end to end, 2.5, 3 years?
Yeah, from the time that I was thinking about it and envisioning it to when it actually came, it was definitely about 18 months, about 2 years for sure.
Okay, well, this is a good place to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about those 5 secrets where people can do just what you did and see their dreams come to fruition. So let's do that in 2 minutes. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're here with Dr. Lisa Williams. She is the creator of the Fresh Dolls, a unique line of dolls for children that represent everyone in the spectrum of humanity. So something that is unique. You found your niche, you found a market for it, but you've got some tips for others to follow in your footsteps. You kind of paved the way for a lot of people who want to do the same thing. So where would you start? What is one of the first secrets that you would recommend others to do?
You know, it is truly my desire to help others to become successful in their businesses. And so I have come up with this model, a 5-step model called SCALE, which actually will help you scale your business. And for every letter represents a lesson that I have learned the hard way. Yeah. And so the first letter is S in SCALE. The first letter is S, and it stands for your sales. Know your sales potential. Make it intriguing for that buyer. So when they're talking to you and they're hearing about your sales potential, they get excited. And the other stands for C, which is competition. Stay aware of what the competition is doing, but most importantly, know your competitive advantage. What makes you different? What sets you apart? Why is your product going to make a greater service to humanity?
All right, so as we move along that acronym, we've covered SC. What about A?
A stands for always have advances in innovation. You can't be a one-hit wonder. You always have to be creatively thinking of the next best idea to advance your product. So that's the A.
Okay.
And then the L is related to that. It's always learning. Learn your product, learn your market, and learn what the buyer wants to see in the meeting. And he or she is going to want to see your product, your marketing plan, and your future ideas. And then the last one is E, which stands for equity. Know your value. Know your product. Know your margin that you want to set. Know your pricing. Know your costing, because that's going to depend on whether or not your company is profitable or not.
And do you have any recommendations of where people can kind of get familiar with what these things mean? Because if you've never scaled a business before and you don't know how to calculate equity, you don't know how to look for sales or some of that information that you kind of have to dig for, is there any one place that you went to that helped you?
Yes, I did. I went to SCORE with the Small Business Administration. They are incredibly helpful. And then, of course, I researched. Being a former professor, I love to do research. So then I just researched it. And now Google makes it very easy to find out basic information.
That's true. But you do. You have to do your homework. Very, very important. Tell us, where can people find these dolls?
Oh, my gosh. They're at mass retail. So you can find them at Walmart, at Target, at Meijer, on Amazon, and, of course, thefreshdolls.com.
Dr. Williams, do you ever pinch yourself when you walk into these stores and you see your creation sitting on those shelves?
There is nothing like it. Yes, it is surreal. I can't really put it into words. You just stand there and you're awestruck to think that there was an idea that came to your heart and your mind, and that with the help of good people, it's now on the shelf and little girls and boys can enjoy it. It's a dream come true for me.
I would be so tempted if I saw a box at a place to go up to the shelves and then re-merchandise everything, make sure it looks perfect before I left the store. Have you ever seen a child walk up to your dolls and have you overheard and been kind of a fly on the wall as to what they're saying about them?
Exactly, because I did exactly what you're saying. I was there organizing the shelves. And then parents came up with their children, so I'm just listening. But then when they looked at my doll, they said, "Oh, Mommy, I like her." I was like, "Oh, she actually liked it."
Isn't that something?
So I got the treat.
And P for pride, taking pride in your work as well, which obviously, Dr. Williams, you do. Thank you so much for joining us. This is fascinating.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're back after this.